wisdom is optional. Growing up is not. Growing older is not. And I wish that everybody started thinking of wisdom or using the reflective and the slower system as upgrading their own software and becoming more wiser. But sometimes people are so scared of the change that they'd rather stay withdrawn, insulated, not change their opinion, not deal with things. And it's safer to just sit and judge than to experience the, change and to put yourself out there in the game. And somehow in our culture, being older and trying new things is not very it's not encouraged a lot. If you go abroad, you see people at 85, 90 learning to swim and making mistakes. They're absolutely fine. But in our culture, it's expected that now that you're older, you should know 100% of things. And so sometimes they stop themselves because of the guilt or the shame or what will they say, and I can't fail. But well, you go all the way out and fail as much as you want, but learn from it. If you're an older person feeling judged, it's not your monkey. Let people judge. That's not your problem. You look at what I need to be, who I am, and how I can embrace that about myself, right? Your dignity is with you and not in how people treat you. If they want guidance, give. If they don't want, guide yourself. You are the project.
This topic is extremely needed in today's society, especially India is changing at a very rapid pace. We are urbanizing, we're getting into nuclear families, and gone is the old wisdom where we had people to guide us as to what is right, what is wrong, how do we deal with the situation. With nuclear families coming up, there is no pathway as to how to deal, what to expect. Just like when a baby is born, we don't know what to expect and how to deal with it. Similarly, when there's an aging parent in the house, or when we are aging ourselves, we don't know what to expect and how to deal with it. This is an extremely pertinent topic that you have come up with, and you are also enlightening us about what the situation is. What is it? And thank you. I mean, that was amazing. Thank you. Shmel, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting and insightful presentation. And I want to ask the question, how, according to your opinion, social and economic well-being can support improvement cognitive well-being?
Okay, so your question is, how can social connections improve cognitive well-being? Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, social connection, social well-being.
Yes, it's so extremely helpful in improving the cognitive well-being. Because when we talk about social connections, socializing is one of the most complex cognitive functions that our brain engages in. Understanding others, the body language, what they are saying, engaging with people in different levels and different ways means that the brain has to constantly make decisions about the interactions. And it also means that there is this constant activity that happens in the brain. Now, if it's the same social group, then again, it gets into a comfort zone. And if you're doing the same activity again and again, then it slowly becomes a part of your reflexive, like, habitual thing. Anything which is a habit in an old age is not a great idea, other than the habits you need for living well. Whereas in childhood, developing the right habits and systems is what actually leads to success. In older ages, you want to constantly challenge and break the habits and look at how can you exist in ecosystems or spaces which don't feel familiar. And that's, so what you could do is like travel with your social group to new places. Could be find a new game or a new thing that you learn with your social group. And that could bring in the complexity or the level of complexity from it being the same comfort zone. But it's extremely important to have a good social group, and it's extremely important to have a group learning social group. And those two, if they can be together, that's great. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. I think Parul had asked a question earlier saying some activities for mental stimulation and exercises for an 83-year-old person. You can take any activity that they find interesting, from building things, putting things together, to coloring, to any creative learning. If they are physically agile, dancing, because dancing is a great way of not just getting physical exercise but learning. You have to remember the sequence of steps. So memorization of the steps and being able to coordinate the various parts of your body to perform is extremely good for your brain. So if you're looking at an exercise and something to stimulate the brain, that's good. Now, if they're not physically very active, obviously you don't want to get into dancing like that. You could start with chair dancing, any coordinated activity with just the movement of whichever part that is okay to start with. There are a lot of puzzles, the Sudoku and all those other games which are useful as well. Okay.
So one thought is, there was a time where people accepted old people in social gatherings. But today, as we age, people feel they're being judged and they withdraw. What do you advise both the people who are aging and the people who are in social circles when they see someone coming in?
Can you just repeat the question for me again? I was a little distracted. Yes.
When aged people come into social gatherings, the aged people feel judged, and so they withdraw. The aged people withdraw. They stop going more and more often because, the eating, something falls down and it's dirty, or they are not able to comprehend when someone is saying hello, as their faculties are coming down a little lesser. And then the people who are watching them are being judgmental, or sometimes somebody is sympathetic, but how does one react to it?
Okay, so like I did right now, I was a little distracted with the chat and I didn't realize that. So I said, can you repeat the question? So if you're a person who's lost track, it's all right to ask that question and say, can you repeat it? Now, let's say if you find that you're slower in processing, request the people and say, can you go a little slow? This is a little fast for me to process. Now, aging and the age related changes are normal. If you accept them, embrace them, then you can ask what you need from people. Okay, whether it's slowing down or whether it's, whatever it is that you need. You can even say, look, I'm kind of a little sloppy sometimes now, like I was when I was a child while eating, but there's no need to feel shame and guilt. You are here, you exist, and aging has whatever, or your diseases or your health has whatever challenges it has. So learning to embrace that if you're the older person. And if you're the younger person, well, you're going to get there someday. And so there's no point in being judgmental. Now, if you're an older person feeling judged, it's not your monkey. Let people judge. That's not your problem. You look at what I need to be, who I am, and how I can embrace that about myself, right? Your dignity is with you and not in how people treat you.
Wow. Wow. Okay. My next question is from Mr. Surupaneni. Mr. Surupaneni, would you like to ask this question yourself?
Yeah. No. It is just expressing my feelings, you can say. That's it. It's not, as you can see, it's not a pointed question, but just an expression of maybe, yes, a little bit of frustration these days. Because, see, like as we age, we are supposed to become wise and more tolerant. Unfortunately, maybe the society, the complexities, maybe make people, it's not like that. It's not the way in which we expect people. So suddenly you put off in conversation. That's what I said.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And one of the ways in which you can look at it is that's what I said. See, wisdom is optional. Growing up is not. Growing older is not. And I wish that everybody started thinking of wisdom or using the reflective and the slower system as upgrading their own software and becoming more wiser. But sometimes people are so scared of the change that they'd rather stay withdrawn, insulated, not change their opinion, not deal with things. And it's safer to just sit and judge than to experience the, change and to put yourself out there in the game. And somehow in our culture, being older and trying new things is not it's not encouraged a lot. If you go abroad, you see people at 85, 90 learning to swim and making mistakes. They're absolutely fine. But in our culture, it's expected that now that you're older, you should know 100% of things. And so sometimes they stop themselves because of the guilt or the shame or what will they say, and I can't fail. But well, you go all the way out and fail as much as you want, but learn from it.
Exactly. For example, counseling, like this conversation we are having today, the reflection part. See, like all of us are here, we are happily joining this conversation. We are speaking our mind. But those people who really need to be here are not participating today. So who would tell them? See, why you feel frustrated is we keep adapting ourselves. At least I suppose I am not giving a pat to myself, but I feel yes, we are resilient enough. But but I'm sure people, when they learn to appreciate others' point of view, that's when society will be better. So, like you rightly said, even counseling is considered as a kind of stigma, or people are not aware. Who will take a person to a counselor?
Yeah.
Refuse. So how can it?
So that's the challenge. So that's where the self-management and your own involvement in how you reflect about life and life journey, if it can start early, like at 30, 40, 50, then you're open to that later. Now, if you have someone who's completely shut off, then there's no point in talking, but you could introduce some games and activities which could be something as simple as coloring and doing things together. Because I found that my mom was a little more resistant initially in things like, what is this? Like she'd tell me in Hindi, "Tum mujhe chote bacche ke jaisa treat kar rahi ho. You're treating me like a child when now you're telling me to do these things." But I would like, you know what, let's do it. So I had my children tell them, but they can't say no to their grandchildren. So I said, okay, let's do this. So everybody, in the family sitting down with colors, and everybody has to create something of like an art project out of it. And I can show you those papers. And all the time she's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't even draw, and look at my lines. And I'm like, what are you doing? So much of self-criticism. Now that is not good. So the minute I could pick that, then I started helping her with, what, this is normal aging. You don't need to be critical of yourself. It's all right to want to be slow at this age. It's okay if you don't, I'm okay to walk at your pace. So as she felt more accepted and encouraged, as she did those fun activities, she started opening up to, okay, now tell me, what should I do to remember my list? I keep forgetting, and stuff like that. But prior to that, it was always like, ab kya? Now this is it. At my age, I can't do anything now. This is it. I'll forget. It would be like that. And sometimes people don't change because they just not ready. And in that case, well, you do what you can do for you, and you pray, and you bless them, and you love them, and you do what you can for them. That's it. But you don't make it your monkey so that now you are suffering or your cognitive well-being is at risk because others aren't changing.
Okay. You mentioned grandchildren. So grandchildren definitely have a more soothing effect than children sometimes.
They can command their grandparents. They can make their grandparents do anything. So my weapons are my children. Please tell Nana do this. Please tell Nani go do this.
Thanks for your lovely interaction, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is from a guest. My sister, 62, lost her memory after brain stroke and got treated in Apollo Hospital. Any possibility that she can recollect her memory? She retired from bank service. Please suggest. She's in Hyderabad.
Okay. It will need interaction with a medical practitioner and a person or a coach or a psychologist to work with. We don't know the kind of damage, whether that is possible or not medically, because there is the biological aspect, right? So, but what can be done is definitely looking at how to accept whatever your situation is at this point of time, and to work with it so that moving forward, what is possible can be done with grace and ease, right? So it will need a much more deeper connection and interaction to understand the situation before I can answer that.
Yeah. Hi, Manisha, one more question from Mr. Nirmal Agarwal. I'm 75 years, perfectly well, engage myself with students in schools. What steps I need to keep myself perfect for? the next 10 years?
Okay. So you could, since you're engaging with students, I'm sure they're keeping you young. That's one of the best ways to stay young, is to be with younger people, because your goals keep changing. What you could do is, maybe if there is a health profiling that you want to do for yourself, just like a check, or meet with a counselor, therapist, psychologist to see where you are and how you're doing, just for yourself, like a baseline, and make some goals for the next 10 years. When you say, I want to be perfect for the next 10 years, what do I see myself doing at 85? What are the activities? What are the social, emotional goals for myself there? Fitness goals, and then maybe work backwards to see what actions you need to take from now to reach that part of the goal. So that would be concrete and specific about what you want at 85 from yourself.
So, when babies are born, at every stage, okay, this month, this is how you will feel when the mother is pregnant. First month, what to expect. Second month, what to expect. Which month, what to expect. Which year, what to expect. Right from 50 to 90, I don't see that much of awareness on what to expect in which year, in which decade, and what precautions to take. And both as the person going in that journey and the child who wants to take care. Is there anything you would like to say on the decade wise?
Well, it's a very comprehensive ask. And I am currently now, whatever I have done over the last 8-10 years with my parents, and I'm putting it together in a manner where I would be able to share that information for people. But essentially, if you ask me, there are multiple factors. There's biological, that is, what is your genetic predisposition, and that's going to influence your physical health. And of course, which is your own activity in terms of how I exercise. There is food, there is sleep. There are so many factors that influence age at every point of time. Okay. But if I were to ask to pick up one thing which remains valuable throughout aging, it is your cognitive and your well-being. It is your self-sufficiency, which can be an insulation against various problems that come with becoming dependent. So maintain as much self-sufficiency as you can, as much of independence as you can, within limits. Don't be unrealistic. Don't expect that, oh, I must run the marathon because I was able to run till about a year ago. If you've not been a sports person all your life, don't get into running at 70. But so understanding, now that's slightly complicated and a complex procedure. If you can be self-sufficient, self-management, updating yourself to what it means to be a part of this world and the changing world, and not living in the world that you grew up in. That's, I would say, is the simplest and the first step that you could take.
That was a pathway that you showed, especially when you said to be a part of the changing world. I see that today there's a lot of changes happening in banking, and people are living up to 80 years. Previously, they would write a check and send it through someone. Now they can do it from their phones, from their internet, from their computers. This is a very critical life skill, which as you're aging, you can be more anxious in dealing with it. But what's happening is dependency of aged people on help, if the kids are not with them or anybody else, and getting cheated has become very rampant. How do you advise people to address that?
Ask for help from a qualified professional and not a friend. So if you need help and support with managing finances, it's all right. Think of it as investment and safeguarding your own self, like pay a chartered accountant or get someone who's qualified and dependable to guide you on it, rather than depending on friends and people and giving OTPs and doing things that later sometimes you regret and you worry about, you're anxious about, right? And financial independence. Interesting, Vani, that you bring this up, because this is something so important. Maintaining your financial independence is another key to feeling more in control of your life, right? So that's something that is important as well. So manage as much as you can about your own, even if you're not managing the home finances. Be in charge of your own medical and on your finances. Keep your assets to yourself. They can go to whoever needs it afterwards, but keep that control a little bit.
In India, in abroad, I've noticed people downsize their homes, but in India, it's very difficult for people with big homes to downsize even when they're not able to manage. Any advice on that?
It's a bit challenging because, with older people, they get very attached to their things because that brings them comfort. And I kind of find myself conflicted a little on advising on this because if it's something which gives them comfort, it's an essential part of feeling safe for them. On the other hand, making life processes simpler is also important. So I guess it would be something that they could be engaging in themselves as a process of how can I still be more independent and more feel in control about my things and the place around me, right? So I guess, Shivani, you talked about involving people in the pre-loved items thing. That could be something if they got involved and they knew that the things they love so much will be loved by somebody else, they might not find it difficult. It's difficult when you tell them to dispose and bring everything new. I find my mom holding on to some of her old crockery and like, hey, but this is working right now, right? And this is nice right now. So I don't want to give it away. Now, if I force her and if I say it's not relevant anymore, it breaks her heart. I don't want that as well for her, right? So it's a little tricky place because emotions are involved.
This is another question. How to manage incontinence of an 80-year male?
Well, any suggestions, anybody?
So I these days people are using diapers and it should be encouraged. But I find it difficult when one of my own aged family member refuses to use diapers. Like he'd gone to Delhi to meet all his friends, but he didn't step out of the house because of incontinence. Just use diapers.
No, the thing is their counseling might be helpful as well. Because why do I not want to use diapers? Because it feels like I'm losing control.
Okay.
It feels like I'm becoming dependent. It feels like I'm going to go waste. So it's probably connected with a mental condition where there is fear or anxiety, and it's refusing to acknowledge that it's a problem. It's a denial, right? So their counseling might be helpful to understand and come to terms with it and not go into the fear mode that this is the first step and it's forever.
Wonderful, wonderful. People who have aged parents, what is your advice to them?
What do you want to know about in terms of
Nowadays,
aged parents?
they are needing help morning, afternoon, evening. They want help to come home, and help is difficult to get. And these days, we hear that they're getting killed or they're getting stolen. Or so, how do we handle this new changes that are taking place?
So if you can't be there physically, right, security cameras are a good way to keep track. You have today gadgets available that give you some information that you need to know to keep them safe. But always work along with them. Don't treat them in a way that they are incapable or that now you are in charge and so their opinion doesn't matter and you're going to do what needs to be done. Okay? Because aging is different from children. So when you're being raised, let's say they made decisions for you, you really did not have the bandwidth to make decisions. So they have to make. That's the reason parents are there. And sometimes they are harsh, sometimes they are loving, whatever way they are, that's gone. Now that they're older people, they just need more patience from you. So involve them, engage them in the decision making, teach them how to use these things. Second is spend as much time as you can playing games and having a good time, creating experiences which are fun for them and for you. And that's how it becomes a joyful thing to do. I guess, I did not, when my children were younger, I wouldn't see my parents as much. But once my dad was diagnosed with this progressive ailment, and it was like, it took us 3-4 years to even understand what it meant in terms of lifestyle change. But subsequent to that, between my brother and I, we decided he's in Mumbai, I'm in Hyderabad, that we'll visit as much as we can and we'll bring them over as much as we can. And so because we have to create some fun for them, we end up having a lot of fun together. They become very, very open. They're okay. And we are ourselves. Now, if you have filters that I can't be normal with my parents and I have a different way of being with my friends, but with my parents, and if you still have the little barriers there, slowly work towards breaking and creating a more open system because that helps them to open up as well. But you can give them time. You can give them love and patience.
Okay. This is from Tamanna. I hear, so, Srivani, I lost my father 6 months ago. So my mom is weighed down by societal expectations of how a grieving wife should look, wear, eat, behave, compounded by aging, hearing loss impacting her, comprehension of the spoken words. I feel I'm losing my mother, and a majority of decline has occurred since my dad died. How can I help her apart from guiding her to society?
Avoid this society. Well, I think the first thing is, if you can put her on grief therapy or counseling, that will be helpful, because it's important to understand that grief is very difficult to explain in words. And grieving is almost as unique as each one of us has a fingerprint, right? That's completely unique. There is no formula that can be applied, except the fact that we can acknowledge that there is grief. And if she's 80, she's lived majority of her life with an identity of wife. That identity is also, from that many ways involved with whatever soothing activities she likes to do. And I mean coloring and being engaged in bhajans, whatever makes her feel good, maybe help her. That's why I said counseling can help her discover who she is and what she wants and what she doesn't want. It's okay to tell people. It's difficult in our culture, but it's okay to tell them that, this is okay, but please don't bring this questions and intensify things for her, because you're protecting her, and can't keep her completely away from society, because that's also not good for her. She needs to be bit in connection as well. But it seems like a little more help would be needed than just right now for me. I hope it gave you a sense of direction, though.
Sure, sure. Especially the fact that you said, when you go out, ask people not to bring up questions that will make her get into anxiety. Yeah, that helps. Now, a lot of us are aging. Hair is turning white. Your bodies are changing shapes. Your cognitive capacity is coming down. You're no longer younger. And we have a society which says that one should be thin and perfectly shaped and agile and physically fit. I remember both of us having a conversation that, the definition of beauty can be changed. Is not what it was before. It's suddenly changed in the modern world. So could you first give us a little your thoughts on the definition of beauty and the changes that are happening in the body?
Well, I can say only one thing for that. All our lives, I mean, I'm 54, all my life, I've thought about wanting to be slim and fit and this and that. And I am what I am still. I guess it starts with accepting where you are and what you are. And what I think, the societal conditioning, that's where the reflective brain needs to become more active and ask, how relevant is this for me at this age? How useful is this pursuit of this goal going to be for me? And are they even my goals? Are they even something that I need and want at this age? Or is it just something which was said, and then I'm like chasing it like a little, I don't know what you want to call yours, but I call myself the little doggy, that I'm just like, okay, that's okay, I want to go and do this. But do you really need it? So I think one thing which would help, Ani, would be to have goals for what life looks like. Most of us know what we want to do till the age of 50, 60, because it's like, I've got to earn, I've got to study, I've got to make a house and get children, get married. No, get married, then have children, then get them, grow them up, and then get them married and grandchildren. And now what? Right? So we've kind of got goals. And after that, the society has no goals for you. It's like, go die, go to the sidelines, just disappear. But with life expectancy increasing, you want to create goals for yourself. And interestingly, the most wisdom or the wise years for a leader are between 60 to 70 years of age. You could really explode if you wanted to at that point of time in terms of growth and really, really grow. So if you want to keep yourself happy and balanced, make goals for yourself till the last day.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So I've that's something that I've been facing. Suddenly, in the last couple of years, I was getting white hair, and my body is just put on 13 kilos. And there's no way I'm reducing. It's not, no matter what I do, I'm not reducing. So as we discussed, I said, let me embrace my body as it is. And one thing I've done is I've started learning the pickle recipes from my parents, from my mother,
And I
to
tasted that.
ensure that I can give the pickles to my kids. And the rituals and the traditions that my parents had or our family had, I started taking them up as goals, and I started implementing them little by little by little. And I'm so fulfilled about it. Thanks so much, Manisha. You've this thought process that at 60 to 70 years of age, you can create your own goals and you have so much to offer.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
it
course.
actually brings back meaning to a person's life as they're aging.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this stage, we are the keepers of the wisdom. And then we can choose what to do with it. Let it dissipate and disappear, or document and, share.
So one more thing I had done, I'm just sharing with you, in addition to pickles, because all the people are getting aged, and my mother-in-law did not know any ritual. Oh, well, she's 80 years, and I was asking her, Atma, if my daughter gets married, what should we do out here? Oh, we'll ask the elders. She is the elder, and she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So then I went
Yeah.
through books, spoke to Ravi, and then he gave me some guidance, and I made all
Yeah.
the samskaras that a person should
Mm.
follow in a life. The 16
Mm.
came up to around 16 commonly used samskaras, and then I wrote what they are,
Yeah.
they should be conducted, why they should be conducted. So yes, as you said, we are the keepers of wisdom, and it's time we take on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
The next question is Sushma Satish. Thanks for this wonderful, informative session. I'm 75 years old, retired college principal, engaged in traveling, socializing, learning new languages online. What more to do to remain physically, mentally active?
So, Sushma ji, I will be sharing with the Vishwa team once I have this comprehensive thing which I have in my mind put together and ready. And that will give you a lot of insight what you can do. But as I can see, you're already doing something. I wonder if you're doing something in terms of social connection. One of the things you could do is you could teach people, or look at how you can do some kind of social service of work because you already have. You could also look at mentoring teachers and other principals and younger or schools or something, especially if you take up, let's say, low income schools and places where they have good intention but they may not have access to experienced people. So that just comes to my mind as how you could use leverage on your experience into contributing to the society, because that's another way of, when I was talking about keepers of wisdom, that's another way of translate sharing your knowledge and expertise and having young leaders in this field come up. So that could be one of the things that you could do. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, this is from Pradeep Singh. As we are aging, I find it a challenge to be motivated. Any advice on that?
Set goals that call you, that inspire you, that want you to do something about it, because motivation is like I said, unfortunately and sadly, the world around isn't is it's all about managing old age and sickness, and nobody's saying live. So find things and reasons to live, and live well. That's where you will get your motivation.
Parul Agarwal has her mother, 83, I think, who's also participating. And she could grasp as much as she could, but it was a bit too fast for her. Any one or two sentences in Hindi so that she could take something back?
तो उसके लिए if she is still here, तो one is, जब मैं ये वेबिनार स्लो करूंगी और मैं एज अप्रोप्रिएट ग्रुप और सारे लोग जब उसी एज ग्रुप में होंगे, तो उसका जो तरीका होगा वो थोड़ा अलग होगा. आज हम बहुत मिक्स्ड ग्रुप में थे तो आपको जल्दी लगा, बट व्हाट यू कैन डू इज आप पारुल को बोलें कि पारुल, अब तुमने तो जल्दी जल्दी सब समझ लिया होगा, अब मुझे तुम समझाओ इसमें से क्या क्या करना है. So Parul, that's a task for you now on this part. This is available on YouTube for you. आप उसको slow करके देख लें, pause करके देख लें, and you can understand that. And if you have questions, I will be sharing about the program later with Bani and Vishwa Group, and if it reaches you and it finds you, we will do more work.
The next question is from a guest. For old age, how to make target physical fitness? What do you suggest?
I think the best person would be someone who's qualified, a health professional, I mean, exercise person to guide, Or I find that physiotherapists are often better instructors in old age because they understand your body's condition, your ability to do certain things. And I don't want you to, of course, get hurt and by suggesting things. But what you can do are the simple movement exercises, even while sitting, like, whether it's your hand. There is a lot of content on this available online as well, like some like chair yoga and things like that, if you find that movement is not. But start with consulting a physiotherapist, because if you have any, let's say, knee pain or any degenerative issues happening at this point of time, they will tell you how to work in a protected manner. Joining a gym may not be the best thing, or asking a regular exercise consultant may not be the best thing to do, because they work with people who aren't dealing with conditions or aren't moving towards old age. So if you've already been doing, your body knows. If you want to start, consult somebody and then begin.
Yes. Another question from a guest. In old age, it's very difficult to move from one place to another. Especially travel has become very a part of everybody's life in India. Do you think old age people should travel? How do you advise them to travel? What kind of groups do you advise them to travel?
Groups which are accepting of all ages, that's a good group to go with. Don't look at only people with old age. That's not necessary. I mean, we do have a bunch of friends. We travel together, and we have older people and we have younger people all together, and we kind of just, go along with it. And sometimes we find the older people are more fun than the younger ones. That also happens. So I don't suggest that you just limit yourself to people with similar conditions, because that's not necessary. Plan ahead of time. Don't push yourself too hard is one thing that I say. So if we normally, I would take, say, 30 minutes for my check-in at security. If I'm traveling with parents, I'll keep 45 minutes. So plan ahead, work with what you have rather than pushing yourself through things. That's the paradox I'm saying. In a way I'm saying push yourself out of comfort zone. On the other side, I'm saying work with what you have. Don't push it unnecessarily. Understand your body's limitation. Please don't give up travel. If you love traveling, go. Travel is one of the best ways that can help you to rewire new information, new things, new activity. It's great. So don't stop that. But travel with people you're comfortable with.
The other aspect, if you are aged and you're traveling with a younger age and they are accepting, how not to be critical
Of them or yourself.
of the younger group?
That is the reflective part of the brain, right? The reflex is like, okay, they are too different. They are doing too many things which are different, and clothes, what they are wearing and everything. Just tell yourself, this all my old monkeys and they need to be in my zoo. I don't need to let them out on the children and get this whole place messed up, right? And make them their monkeys. It's so your time to decide about their life is done. If they are over 21, your job is done. If they want guidance, give. If they don't want, guide yourself. You are the project. Okay.
Tamanna is sharing a comment which I thought was very interesting. One thing which we did a lot with Dad in the last 1 year is record both audio and video. Whenever he would sit down with us to talk, this has become our dad wisdom collection to share with cousins, kids,
Sweet.
grandkids. I have dad reciting pre-partition days poetry, Gurbani, sharing experiences of partition, him narrating major incidents and minor fun things. I wonder if doing something may help people suffering from signs of dementia, listening to their own voice. Would that help kickstart their memory?
The challenge with dementia is that there is a kind of damage in the whole mechanism, right? So it's like, if you were to look at it, let me talk about a mixer grinder, which the blade is spoiled, right? It doesn't matter what you do and how you sharpen, it may not help at all. It could spark something because, well, brain does recover, but with dementia, often the damage is permanent. And so instead of looking at what can be recovered, look at where you are and what's your new baseline going to be. As it's medically impossible to sometimes get those memories back. And it's painful, and that's where the whole readjustment and support is needed to work with it, and coming to terms with it for the family. Like I remember for me coming to terms with my dad's illness, he's 85, we feel much more in control, was very difficult. Every time the phone rang, because the doctor was like, if this happened and then slowly this will fail and slowly this will fail and the lungs will fail. And so you have to, this is the last line that you have to have as an action to help. And it was so scary that every time he was calling or mom was calling initially, it used to be like, my heart was in my mouth. Till we worked on ourselves to change the context to say that, okay, every additional day is a blessing to have. And like you, we have created a bunch of memories and holidays, and God knows, I mean, may God keep him safe till his life is meant to be here. But I think one of the ways in which we can be doing well is to come to terms with it ourselves.
Yeah, got it. With this, thank you so much, Manisha, and thank you to all the participants